My name is Steve. Welcome back to my shop. This video I am going to be building a microphone extension. It's going to be used in a soundproof booth, a recording studio. My brother is a professional musician and his oldest son is an audio engineer, and they have set up a professional recording studio at home. And one of the requirements for this particular room, they have this soundproof room that's relatively small, and they set up a drum set in it, or they'll have an instrumentalist in it. And in order to put the mics where they want them, they want some short 8-inch long microphone extensions. They will mount on these little flanges, and these flanges will be placed around on the wall, and they can just thread the microphone extensions on them. These are commercially available, but they're too long. They want something that's going to be rigid, and they'll only be 8 inches long. So this is going to require cutting some 5/8 27 threads. I have an internal thread on one end, external thread on the other. I'll be using 7/8 12L14 steel. Aluminum might make more sense, however, I want the threads to be stronger since these are going to be kind of a cantilever type of a setup on the wall. I don't want the threads to be stripping out or the hub to be stripping. So the actual flange is steel, so I'm going to be making the extensions out of steel. In order to lighten them up a little bit, I'll be boring out the length of them. I'm going to be boring out almost a 1/2 inch through the length of them to lighten them up, which will give me an opportunity to use the quick change tool post drill chuck adapter that I built in a couple of videos ago. In an effort to keep the videos at a reasonable length, I like to keep them down under a 1/2 hour in the 20 to 25 minute range. This video is going to end up being 2 parts. The first part I'm going to do all of the external machining, and in the final part I will be boring it out and cutting the threads. Another reason that I will be doing this in a second part is when I checked my lathe to set up the threads on it, I found that I was missing a change gear in order to cut the 27 threads. So I've ordered the change gear, I found one, and it's being shipped. It should be here in a few days, and then I can get a chance to finish up the second part of the video. Thanks for joining me, and let's get started. I was doing another job using the same material, and so I had started out, I actually faced off and center drilled one end. So for this project, I just need to face off and center drill this end. Then I need to cut it to length, and all of my my work is going to be done on this end to start with. So what I need to do is set up the steady rest. For this job, I took and turned my rollers inboard. I have enough room to do that, and what it does, it gives me the ability to get the rollers a little bit closer to the chuck on my initial setup, and it also gives me some more room to work out at the end. Okay, I'm going to put this up as close as I can to the chuck and tighten it in place. Now I'm going to start up the lathe. I'm going to take and move the rollers in with the set screws until they just touch. So you put a little bit of lubricating oil on there. Okay, the back one is just touching. Whoops. When I touched down that outer bearing, I realized the bearing had gone bad, so I just took and replaced it with a new one. I've got to see if I can find some better quality bearings because these are really cheap and I can see that they're not going to hold up. Okay, just touched down on that one. Now I'm going to touch down the top one. Okay, now they're all just touched down, lightly touching it, and I'm going to put just a little bit of pressure on them. And lock the screws. Okay, now that I have that in position, I'm going to take and loosen the top bolt. And slide that up out of the way. And loosen up the steady rest. And slide it down to the end, down to the working end, and snug it back up. I made up a shield out of a piece of cardboard to protect the bearings from the chips, and it'll keep the chips from marring the surface, although I'm going to be turning it. It doesn't make that much difference, but I want to keep the swarf out of the bearings also. I suspect that's what ruined the other bearing. And I just clamped it in place so it doesn't spin. Now I'm going to face this end off and center drill it. Then I will be parting this off to length. Okay, that's center drilled. Now I'm going to take the steady rest out of there and part off the stock to the correct length. My finished length is going to be 8 inches. I'm going to mark it off at just a little bit over 8 and part it off, and that'll give me enough to face it off to final length. I'm using my 12-inch veneer to just mark the length of it. I'll set up my parting blade. I'm all squared up already. Lock the carriage in place. And use lots of cutting oil. That's better. Okay. Okay, to set up the steady rest now, what I'm going to do is put my live center in. Snug it up. I'll take my live center out. of the way. Put my guard in. Clamp that back in place. And I'm ready to cut the end of this. Okay, I'm drilling the end of this for a 5/8 27 tap. The tap drill is 19/32. I already started the hole with a 3/8. Now I'm going to run in a 1/2 inch. I'm going to want my threads 3/4 of an inch deep. Okay, that's 3/4. Now the closest drill size that I've got is 9/16. So I'm going to drill out to 9/16. Then I'm going to have to use a boring bar to finish out to the tap drill size. 1930 seconds is 593. So I'm going to check my size. Okay, I'm at about 585 at this point. Okay, about 590. Yeah, that looks like a good finished size. I'm just going to take a spring cut on it and let it go at that. I'm going to cut a small bevel on it to help start the tap. Here's my starting tap. I'm going to power tap this. I've got it at my lowest speed, which is around, a normal speed is around 400, and I'm going to put it into back gears. That's as low as I can go. Here's some thread cutting oil. Okay, that's it. And I'm going to put my bottoming tap in. Start it by hand. Make sure I don't get it cross-threaded. Okay, I've got it started. Thread cutting oil and just bump it till I hit the bottom. It'd be helpful if I go the right direction with it. I'm just going to bump it till I hit the bottom. Okay, that's it. Perfect. Now I'm just going to chamfer the end, clean it up a little bit, and then I can turn it around. I'm going to be cutting the outside diameter of this down to 625 or 5/8, and I leave 1.25 inches on the end. I've already marked my 1.25 inches, so I'm going to start. I'll take 50 thousandths at a time. Okay, 625 on the button. So now I'm going to go up to the chuck end and cut a bevel between the 800 thousandths and the 625. This wraps up part 1 of my microphone extension video. Thank you for watching. Please give me a thumbs up, comment, share, and if you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I've had a lot of new subscribers over the last couple of weeks, and I really appreciate it. And I want to thank all the new subscribers, and I want to thank the old subscribers that are sticking with me. So thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video.